welcome back to Tales from the World's Firesides. I'm Clive Gilson, the story guy. Today I'm telling a traditional Balkan folktale called Bird Girl. The source for this tale is an original story in Serbian Folk-lore by Madame Elodie L, Mijatovich, which was published by the Columbus Printing, Publishing and Advertising Company in 1899. This particular tale, or version of it, appears in my book Tales from the Samodivi, which contains around 25 traditional Balkan folktales. As ever, my main aim is to tell stories that might otherwise be forgotten or lost to modern readers, at least readers outside of the originating cultures. Tales that help us to share those cultures and maybe make the world a little less complex. Anyway, that's enough of that. Let's get on with the story. Bird Girl. Once upon a time, there lived a king who had only one son, and when this son grew up, his father sent him to travel about the world in order that he might find a maiden who would make him a suitable wife. The king's son started on his journey and travelled through the whole world without finding anywhere a maiden whom he loved well enough to marry. Seeing then that he had taken so much trouble and had spent so much time and money, and all to no purpose, he resolved to kill himself. With this intention, he climbed to the top of a high mountain, that he might throw himself from its summit, for he wished that even his bones might never be found. Having arrived at the top of the mountain, he saw a sharp rock jutting out from one side of it, and was climbing up to throw himself from it, when he heard a voice behind him calling, "Stop! Stop! O man, stop for the sake of 365, which are in the year." He looked back, and seeing no one, he asked, "Who are you that speak to me? Let me see you. When you know how miserable I am, you will not prevent me killing myself." He had scarcely said these words when there appeared to him an old man, with hair as white as wool, who said, "I know all about you, but listen. Do you see that high hill?" "Yes, I do," said the prince. "And do you see the multitude of marble blocks which are on it?" said the old man. "Well, yes, I do," rejoined the prince. "Well then," continued the old man, "on the summit of that hill there is an old woman with golden hair, who sits night and day on the very spot and holds a bird in her bosom. Whoever can get this bird into his hand will be the happiest man in the world. But be careful. If you are willing to try and get the bird, you must take the old woman by her hair before she sees you. If she sees you before you catch her by her hair, you will be changed into a stone on the spot." That's what happened to all those young men you see standing there as if they were blocks of marble. When the king's son heard this, he thought, "Well, it's all one to me, whether I die here or there. If I succeed, so much the better for me. If I fail, I can but die as I had resolved." So he went up the hill, and when he arrived near the old woman, he walked very cautiously towards her, hoping to reach her unseen, for, luckily, the old woman was lying with her back towards him. She was sunning herself and playing with the very bird. When he got near enough, he sprang suddenly and caught her by the hair. Then the old woman cried out so that the whole hill shook, as if it was a great earthquake. But the king's son held her fast by her hair, and when she found that she could not escape, she said, "What do you desire from me?" He replied, "That you should give me the bird in your bosom, and that you call back to life all these Christian souls." The old woman consented, and gave him the bird. Then from her mouth she breathed a blue wind towards the men of stone, and immediately they again became alive. The king's son, having the bird in his hand, was so rejoiced that he began to kiss it, and as he kissed it, the bird was transformed into a most beautiful maiden. Now this was a girl that the enchantress had returned into a bird in order that she might allure the young men to her. The girl pleased the king's son exceedingly, and he took her with him and prepared to return home. As he was going down the hill, the girl gave him a stick and told him the stick would do everything that he desired of it. So the king's son struck with it once upon the rock, and in a moment there came out a mass of golden coin, of which they took plenty for the use on their journey. As they were travelling, they came to a great river, and could find no place by which they could pass over it. So the king's son touched the surface of the river with his stick, and the water divided, so that a dry path lay before them, and they were able to cross over the river dry-shod. A little farther on they came to a herd of wolves, and the wolves attacked them and seemed about to tear them to pieces, but the prince struck at them with his stick, and one by one the wolves were turned into ants. And thus at length the king's son reached home safely with his beloved, and they were shortly after married and lived long and happily together. Okay, that's the story of Bird Girl. Again, it's one of those stories that I love. The story features themes of transformation, of freedom and liberation, and it does it in a fun way. The book, Tales from Samodivi, which the story is taken from, is available in hardback, paperback and ebook formats from all good retail and online bookstores. If you've enjoyed the story, you can find out more about me, Clive Gilson, the story guy, and Tales from the World's Firesides as a project at clivegilson.com. And there's also dedicated channels in the banner at the bottom of the screen. I'd really appreciate it if you could hit the like button. It always does help to keep these stories front and centre. And if you do want to look at any of the sort of previous stories, there's quite a few now, and also the new stuff that comes up every week, then do subscribe to one of the Facebook or YouTube channels. That's it for now though. So until next time, keep reading, keep listening, keep watching, and stay inspired.